For every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. All of Lebanon must burn. With all due respect to the Americans, Israel must make it clear to the entire world that the blood of our sons and the security of our citizens are not forfeit. All of Lebanon must burn. Our supreme duty is to protect the citizens of Israel and the soldiers of the IDF, and this commitment takes precedence over every other consideration. I told the Prime Minister, even in our private meetings, for every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. Enough with the ping pong in the Middle East. You don't win with measured responses and restraint. You need to go berserk, to obliterate, to crush the terror. Hi, my name is Suri Crowe, and you're watching the MeidasTouch network. That is Itmar Ben-Gvir, the Israeli National Security Minister. And I just happened to notice as I was reading it, he talks about the sons of Israel, not the daughters, who, by the way, also serve in the Israeli Defense Forces. As noted by Iranian Foreign Minister Sayed Abbas Arghiti, which I'm probably messing up his name, this is not a rant by a random genocidal lunatic. It's a public post by the National Security Minister of the Israeli regime. The genocidal death cult headquartered in Tel Aviv is a threat to all of humanity. It threatens all humans. Its only interest is permanent war. Israel is having a blowout diaper mind bender of a temper tantrum over Trump's Iranian peace deal, which is on tenterhooks anyway. As I'm writing this, there have been bombs dropping all day long. Israel, which has refused to abide by any ceasefire measures with either Gaza or Lebanon. As Shadow of Ezra notes, Benjamin Netanyahu is now holding the world hostage and openly admits he will not comply with any peace deal. Instead, Netanyahu says he wants to control all of Gaza and will continue the war in Lebanon. We do not leave as long as Israel's security arrangements are in place. And then Shadow of Ezra says it's time for Benjamin Netanyahu to be arrested, which, by the way, he is officially considered a war criminal in the international court.
שלחמו לצידנו כתף אל כתף, ואנחנו מעריכים זאת מאוד. אנחנו נמשיך לנווט את דרכנו בתבונה ובשיקול דעת. נשמור על הישגי הממשלה, נשמור על הישגי המלחמה. אלה הישגים של עם ישראל כולו. כשם שהחזרנו את הביטחון והשגשוג לעוטף עזה, כך נחזיר את הביטחון והשגשוג ליישובי הצפון. זה מחייב שמירה על רצועת הביטחון בדרום לבנון. זה מחייב שלא נצא משם כל עוד צורכי הביטחון של ישראל מחייבים.
First of all, my question is security arrangements for what? Iran did not attack Israel. It was the other way around. And Israel invaded and attacked Lebanon. And yet Netanyahu completely turns things around. Netanyahu convinced Donald Trump to start this loser of a war. And as for concern about nuclear weapons, Israel is the only country in the Middle East that actually has nuclear weapons, even though they never confirm nor deny. Iran had agreed to give up their nuclear weapons program in a very, very complex and delicately knitted together disarmament treaty with the Obama administration, and one that China and Russia had agreed to sign on to. That in itself was like a masterful achievement for the Obama administration. And it was orchestrated by, at the time, Secretary of State Kerry. And then here comes Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, who tear it up, just get rid of it, because Trump hates everything about Obama and is inherently jealous of him. And Benjamin Netanyahu always wanted to go to war with Iran. And now we are stuck as Americans paying Iran $300 billion to behave. Whether or not they'll do that, we don't know. They will have more access to uranium. And now they get to run the Strait of Hormuz and charge fees. What a shit show. And you know things are bad when you've lost former pro-Israel conservative Piers Morgan. Right. How can anyone still support this Israeli government when psychopathic monsters like Ben-Gvir are ministers in it, advocating genocide in Lebanon? Disgusting. That's a shocker from Piers Morgan. He's been going through some things in his evolution on Israel. And speaking of Piers, here he is with definitely not to be trusted Tucker Carlson, who on this one occasion is right on this one particular subject.
Popular, getting ever more unpopular. And I know from speaking to many of my Jewish friends around the world, whether it be London, New York, LA, or further afield, they're all very concerned about this. So this idea that Netanyahu represents what most Jewish people think, for example, I think is for the birds.
I'm not aware of a single Nazi official who was as openly bloodthirsty as Ben-Gvir, including Goebbels, who was a nutcase, in my opinion. And, they, of course, were all executed. The ones who survived the war were executed at Nuremberg. We don't actually have visibility into what's happened in Gaza because they've murdered so many journalists and no one's allowed in to see it. But we know over 100,000 people have been killed, most of them non-combatants, tens of thousands of women and children.
Yes, Tucker. Except we have to stop making it seem that Netanyahu, Smotrich, another vile character in the Israeli cabinet, and Ben-Gvir are the outliers, because they're not. They have millions of Israelis who support them. Many Israelis who don't believe that Arabs deserve to breathe the same air or air in the first place. Just ask Arab and Israeli Jew Alon Mizrahi, who posted this, and he actually left Israel. I believe he now lives in London. That Ben-Gvir post that everyone is sharing aghast. It is a perfectly normal and common Israeli view held by millions. It is the Israeli mainstream and not extreme in the least. I grew up hearing that endlessly. And as for us Americans, the secret is out, or at least I hope it is. We cannot unsee what has finally been exposed after decades of collusion between the Israeli government, paid off American politicians, and the Western media. Americans are finally waking up to the horrible truth behind Israel's evil deeds.
Seen too much. It doesn't work. We listened to Henry Jobs' 911 call. We've seen 400 videos of crying children in rubble while the bombs are still going off, mothers screaming, learning their families have been killed. We saw the father digging in the rubble for the remains of his children with his bare hands, maniacally. I still think about this guy a couple times a month. They asked him, it was like November 23, are you okay? What are you digging for? What are you looking for? And he said, my 4 children. So yeah, we saw that. We saw all that. We're not anti-Semitic. We love Jews. We love the real Jews who stand against this madness. We love the Jews who are out there practicing real tikkun olam, solidarity and empathy. Those are the Jews I'm with. Not this. Not this shit of blowing up babies. I'm not with that. The IDF is the one that puts a Star of David on its back. The IDF that drops 6 Nagasakis on a civilian population on a strip of land the size of Austin, Texas. The IDF that puts crying baby MP3s on drones so empathetic Palestinians venture out of a safe place to go check on a baby in danger, and then the drone kills them for the crime of being compassionate. We know. We've seen this. You can't call me anti-Semitic. You can't say I hate Jews. We're done with that card. I saw the little boy carrying his brother's body parts in a trash bag on his back. We saw the bullets fired at the aid distribution, Hunger Games, Squid Games bullshit. We saw all of it. You can call me anything you like, but there's no coming back.
Or this Palestinian Red Crescent staff member trying to comfort a terrified little girl to cross an evacuation quarter near the Israeli forces.
ولا حاجة إن شاء الله تكون نهايتها هذه يمكن تسهيل المهام نروح على غزة لك عصير ايه الجندي هيعمل لك هيك باي عند البحر ايه تضلك معي ترجعي
Compassion that those 2 men are showing that little girl because she's afraid of the Israeli army, the Israeli forces that are there. It's just like, I don't know, something, it just breaks me. And all too often, the Israeli forces target the Red Crescent, which is the equivalent of our American Red Cross. They specifically will go after first responders, Red Crescent, the people who are there to help. That's what the Israeli army does. They're not going after, as they always are claiming, Hamas or Hezbollah. They are going after the very people that you just saw in that clip, the helpers, the little babies who are terrified. And yet it's always Israel that's playing the victim card. We're being attacked. It's us. We have to defend ourselves. From what? As American political scientist and activist Norman Finkelstein says, if there were an Oscar for best theatrical performance by a country, Israel would win every year. It's a country based on theater. It's a lunatic state, completely insane. But here's how Israel's drama has played itself out for years on American media, selling and justifying a genocide funded with billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars.
Right to defend itself.
Right to defend itself.
Right to defend themselves.
Right to defend itself.
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 The right to defend itself.
Right to defend itself.
Right to defend itself.
Right to defend itself.
Savagery.
Savage.
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 The savage. Savagely.
Savages.
Savage.
Savage. Savages.
Savage. Savages.
Savage.
Savage. Savage.
Savagely.
Savagely.
Savage.
Of barbarity.
Barbarity. Barbarism.
Barbaric.
Barbaric.
Barbarians.
Barbarism.
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 Barbaric.
Barbaric.
Barbaric. Barbarity.
Barbaric. Barbaric.
Barbarically.
The barbaric.
Barbarity.
Barbaric.
Thanks to The Intercept for that mashup, they did an intensive investigation on the collusion with Western media. And that's exactly how we end up voting in compromised politicians again and again. Politicians like Democrat Adam Smith, who proposed a bill that would completely integrate our military with Israel's. Here he is getting caught off guard by Drop Site News.
Do you think the American people want that, linking those two technologies, the most sensitive technologies, biometrics, cybersecurity? I mean,
well, they're already very linked.
I know, but this would link it much further.
What I'm looking at is Section 224 really doesn't link it anymore. We already.
I mean,
I'm sorry. Are you asking me questions, or are you telling me?
Well, if the answer's counterfactual, I'm going to correct the record. I mean, it does link them further. The biometric technology would be, but I'm asking you where you stand on it.
Okay, so. First of all, we already have existing shared relationships with Israel on a wide range of these issues. What this does is it puts one person in charge of coordinating those relationships. Okay, so it's an overstatement to say that it is a dramatic improvement. It doesn't. This amendment in and of itself does not specify, create any new program in terms of sharing. Now, you're absolutely right. Before you get all excited, it creates more. It basically says that we want to look for more opportunities. It does. That worries me a little bit because, well, I think we can benefit a great deal from this type of technology sharing arrangement. We need to learn how to do more counter-drone, better missile defense. The Iron Dome project that Israel has helped inform us in terms of how we more cheaply deal with missile defense. So we can benefit from it, and I think the technology sharing is important. I do not like the way the Netanyahu government is engaging in wars in Gaza, the West Bank, and Lebanon. So how separable are those two issues? I think that's a very fair point, and that's what I'm trying to decide.
Do you understand people's concern that or at least their perception that we are giving up leverage unnecessarily to a government who could then strip those cybersecurity technologies or biometric technologies from us should they decide to, when in reality right now, even though we're not using it, we do have the leverage over them?
I don't think so, but I'd have to understand that argument a little bit more because, again, we have these mutual relationships with Israel right now in terms of developing a variety of different technologies, defense technologies. So, no, I don't think this transfers anything more. I mean, and Israel's developing a lot of this stuff on their own. So, no, I don't think
You
so.
think Do you think the Israeli lobby is noticing that public perception is going down and they're trying to deeply entrench this relationship before it can be rolled back as the American public?
Actually, I frankly...
You think? Of course, Israel recognizes that the tide is turning. They know that they have a fading rube in Donald Trump. And they see that the American public is wakey now to the hellscape they leave behind. So Israeli sponsored politicians are racing to line their pockets, and Israel is racing to get as much out of the United States as they possibly can while there is still time. But take a look at this from a June 2026 interview with the publication Jewish Currents. Josh Paul, who is a former Biden State Department official who resigned in opposition to the Biden administration's decision to continue arms transfers to Israel amid the Gaza war, said this about Adam Smith's and Mike Rogers, a Republican who also proposed this 2024 bill to merge the U.S. military with Israel's. Paul said this: integrating Israel as a key source into the Department of Defense supply chain, on the other hand, opens up prospects that could not only make up for, but over time dwarf the billions in handouts Israel's military currently gets from the United States. And unlike the current grant assistance, which mostly pays for U.S. weapon systems, this would be money going directly into Israel's economy. And that's before accounting for the access to emerging U.S. technology and intellectual property that Israel would have access to and be able to spin commercially. In other words, they would take our U.S. technology and then spin it off for their own financial gain. So, I mean, is this what we want? To send billions of dollars from our own wobbling and weakening economy to yet another nation? We're already going to be paying Iran in this horrible deal that Trump signed off on. Now we're going to continue to fund Israel and merge our military with theirs. And they're going to have control of emerging U.S. technology properties that they will use for yet more genocide and killing of people like Mona Khalil, an environmental activist who dedicated her life to saving sea turtles along Lebanon's sea coast. Israeli bombs dropped on her home this past June and killed her. She's not Hezbollah. She's not an enemy. She's a woman who cared about the sea creatures near her home. I will drop a link to progressive candidates who want to depart from our connections to Israel, who are AIPAC free. They are running for Congress. I will put that in the description below. In the meantime, stay fierce, my friends, and as always, peace.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.